Welcome back, friends. iRelät here with a wild Reddit relationship story. One of the most wild situations I've ever covered on here, so let's just get into it. So it doesn't say their ages, but he says, "My wife and I met through mutual friends and were instantly attracted to each other. I courted her for a year. She was fun, extroverted, social, and very adventurous in the sack, which made for great company and fun times." No better company than that which is wild in the sack. I really felt like I had met my soulmate and dreamed of having children and growing old together. We both moved in together in a small apartment with my beautiful dog that I've loved and raised since he was a puppy. I work in the oil industry and there are times when I travel out of state and even the odd trip out of the country. My wife was a full-time nurse and was able to judge her work commitments and her hobbies, one of which was attending a local fitness gym. Uh-oh, a nurse who's going to the gym? This is not sounding good. A year into our marriage, I noticed on my return from one of my trips that my wife was not as attentive and a little distant. I asked what the problem was, and she just said that she gets a bit lonely and misses me when I'm away. Yeah, I'm sure she's not too lonely with whoever this gym guy's about to be. I didn't have long trips, only 5 days max. Her circle of girlfriends were very supportive, and she often went out with them, but was always home on time, and she avoided getting too drunk or staying out too late. We texted in the evenings, and over the next few months, our bedroom life waned. At the time, I didn't suspect cheating or an affair, but understood that my work was forcing me to make a sacrifice to pay for our future and long-term security and family. Then one weekend when I was browsing our bedroom desktop computer, for no particular reason, I looked at the browsing history and started to see access to certain sites that were frankly both disturbing and quite alarming. She was looking at 2girls1cup.com. He continues, "I thought that maybe they were the type of sites that were the product of malware, things that would pop up when browsing, so I ran a program just in case to sort out any unwanted viruses or malware. Having cleared the history, cache, and run the virus malware check, I thought it was done and never really paid much more attention until a couple of weeks later when I checked again and exactly the same sites were there. This is when I came to the realization that my wife was for some reason accessing these sites. So I spoke to her about it and she said that she was browsing certain adult sites and that these specific sites were popping up and curiously they'd gotten the better of her, but she realized they were disturbing." Oh man, she really was on 2girls1cup. He says, "I'm not some Puritan wanting to prevent my wife from viewing this type of content, but the nature of it in these particular sites was not healthy in my opinion, and she agreed wholeheartedly." What was this woman looking at? I mean, I was just joking about the whole 2girls1cup thing. I totally did not know that this was going to go in this direction, but now I'm starting to think that really was what happened here. He says, "I thought we had a pretty transparent relationship and I did my best to support her happiness. I monitored the browser activity over a couple of weeks and nothing really happened." Yeah, because she was hiding it then. I've said this a million times. You can't let them know you're onto them. And side note, I think most men already know this, but usually the craziest chicks are the wildest ones in bed. So it should be no surprise to this guy that his girlfriend is the wild adventurous freak in the sack that he always knew she was. And he pretty much should have expected everything we've heard or are likely about to hear in this story. But he continues, "I monitored the browser history for a couple of weeks and nothing really happened. I assumed lessons were learned and that type of curiosity was gone." Yeah, think again. "She seemed happy and more attentive." That's because she's getting it in with Jim Guy. "I got word of an impending business trip that would take me away for a week. Before I went, I thought I would activate the desktop webcam and some remote software. I thought it would help keep a connection between my wife and I." Oh, is she about to make a video with this other guy? Imagine his wife decides to have fun with this webcam and this other guy doing all this freaky stuff that he's been seeing her look into.
Dude, it's a lady getting pooed on.
That's in my Scheiße.
All right.
While unbeknownst to her, he has full access to this camera and gets a live view of the entire thing.
Ah, son of a...
I doubt that's actually what's going to happen here, but it would be pretty interesting if it did. He says, "I mentioned to my wife that the webcam would be active and we could easily talk at some time when we both could agree. It felt a little naughty and exciting, to be honest, and I thought about how we could connect and chat via video conference while I was away." Yeah, it was exciting until the thing I just described happens to you. "I also configured the computer for remote access." Oh no, is this really about to happen? "I found this helpful previously to access certain files, and this particular software had a setup so I could control the webcam. While I was away, I managed to call her a couple of times and it all worked out fine. During the week, I decided I would check in during my lunch break. I called the computer, but there was no pickup. I was a little concerned as I knew she was meant to be there as it was not a work day, so I accessed the computer remotely and activated the webcam." I'm a complete piece of garbage for being so excited about what we're about to hear. He says, Once I did, I could see my wife completely bare on the edge of the bed with a very excited dog, and I could not believe what I was witnessing. Oh no, your dog was burying a bone in your wife? It's disgusting. I recorded about 5 minutes of the activity and closed down the webcam and software. To say that I was in shock was an understatement. Bro, she's violating your dog. This is even worse than I imagined. And I know a lot of women and men are into this whole kind of thing because I've actually done a video on this topic on my main channel, which is my most viewed video I've ever made, and I'll link it at the end of this one. And through the research that I did for that video and within the video, I come to realize that there are way more women doing this than I ever could have imagined. And I gotta say again, like I did in the video, I'm not on board with it. But anyway, he says, the last 2 days of my work were unbearable. I rushed home and found my wife was on the sofa waiting for my arrival. I asked her if anything eventful has happened while I was away, and she just said nothing out of the ordinary. Yeah, because she's been doing this for a while. I said, so getting off with my dog is normal? She just looked at me and asked what on earth I was talking about. Yeah, they always try to play dumb. I proceeded to show her the video. She was immediately full of remorse and shame because she was caught. Yeah, she had no shame or remorse. She was just sorry she got caught. Pleading that it was only the one time and that she, oh yeah, you just happened to be looking at the cam the only time you did this, sure. And that she had just gotten out of the bath and it was not what it seemed. No, it was what it seemed. Unfortunately, the video was pretty clear and her actions told their own tale. I couldn't even look at her and felt complete and utter disgust. The same disgust that I felt when I saw similarly aligned websites within the browser history. And this is the same thing that a bunch of people said to me in that video I just mentioned in the comments. They were like, how are you surprised by this? Don't you know there are videos and sites like this everywhere? It's like, yeah, obviously I'm aware that these sites exist. I knew that these depraved, disgusting people were out there putting videos on the internet. I didn't think it was housewives doing this behind their husbands' backs. But according to the research I've done, it is, and many of them. He said, I told her that this was not acceptable, and she had hurt me so badly that it would be better if we separated. She went to stay with her parents, and I never showed the video to anyone, and when the divorce was finalized, I told people that we just had differences that could not be reconciled. Yeah, that's an understatement. I lost touch with her when she moved abroad. I simply could not accept the depravity, and had to give my dog away. What? You got rid of the dog? This cat felt so betrayed by his wife and his best friend that he got rid of both. Come on, bro. The dog was innocent in all this. It's not his fault your wife's an animal. She probably lured him with peanut butter. He says, I'll never forgive her or the betrayal in the way she abused my best friend. Yeah, exactly. She was mistreating the dog, so why do you gotta get rid of him? I mean, I suppose the look on his face is always gonna remind you of this terrible scenario, but come on, man. So then down in the comments, a bunch of people are giving him a hard time saying, oh, this must be fake. And I suppose I could see why these people are so skeptical and in disbelief about this whole thing. But if you had seen the video that I've mentioned multiple times now on my other channel, I don't think you'd be so skeptical. If you think this sounds so wild that this could never happen, just check out that other video, because I'm telling you, this kind of thing is actually happening way more often than you would think, or at least more often than I ever thought. But what do you all think about this one? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments and click like for the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check out that video on my main channel, and let's get into the next story. So he doesn't tell their ages, but he says, my wife and I have been married for 7 years and we have a 3-year-old child. We relocated for her job shortly after the birth of our kid and have not really had much of a support system for ourselves while raising him. My job has been virtual, so I've been able to work from home. Our work schedules are off-shifted so we can hand off the childcare while the other one is at work. She's been expressing her dissatisfaction as our home life has been very far from what we had envisioned with having our child. He's very demanding and high energy, and we've not been able to hire any caregivers or have any friends or family that can watch him, and we've had pretty much no time child-free. She's also had some regrets about her job, which is not what she thought it would be, and the opportunities to increase her pay has not manifested as she envisioned. She's expressed her concern at being financially dependent on me now that we moved to a higher cost of living area. So the other day, for the first time in our relationship, she asked me if she could go see a movie by herself while I watch our kid. I had no issue with it, as I was already going to be doing things with our child anyway. So she comes home 7 hours later in a much happier mood than I've ever seen her. Oh man. And she tells me that she really enjoyed the movie. Yeah, I bet. I asked if she saw a couple of movies because she was gone for so long, and she said no. She met up with John, a former coworker that left her work 2 months ago. What? She's just meeting up with guys? Come on. At this point, I felt my stomach drop out. I found that very odd, and the 7 hours was a bit long to see a movie. Yeah, no kidding. And while in the past she had gone to movies with friends, she never said that she was going alone. I asked if meeting with John was part of her plan, and she said yes. I asked why she said she was going alone then, and why she was gone for 7 hours. Man, this woman is not good at cheating. She said she didn't think it mattered, and that they had a lot of catching up to do. My brain asked me, why does a coworker and you have to catch up for 7 hours? Especially if you last saw them at work 2 months ago, and this whole thing just made me feel very uncomfortable. I tell her that I feel uncomfortable with this because she didn't tell me that she intended to see John, and I feel that she's hiding her intent. She said that I was being unreasonable and I should not be jealous of her friend. Oh, come on, are you serious? She also said that nothing happened and that she reminded me that the relationship she was in prior to being with me, she had been cheated on and that she would never cheat herself. She would end the relationship before doing anything like that to someone else. Yeah, right, that's what they always say. I'd like to think that had she said she was going to meet up with this former coworker, I might have been okay with knowing the facts up front, but I've lost the opportunity to know how I would react to the truth. At this point, I've let it go and tried to be normal for the last couple of days, but I just can't. I only have suspicions, and I'm not sure if I'm letting fears cloud my judgment. Bro, your wife left and lied about who she'd be with, claimed she was in a movie but was gone for 7 hours? Come on. He says, I could use some support, or someone to tell me that I'm just seeing things, or that my fears may be unfounded, and how to go about figuring out the truth without blowing things up. Yeah, my friend, you'd have to be pretty dopey to not see what's actually happening here. The chances that she's not doing something with this John person are like 1%. I mean, if she had nothing to hide and nothing was going on with him, why wouldn't she just mention him in the first place instead of saying she was going to the movie alone? Right there, the fact that she lied about that tells you that something's up. And 2, again, 7 hours? I mean, you're catching up for 7 hours, you don't tell your husband what you're doing or where you're going. And 3, who just goes and spends 7 hours with some guy who's not their husband when he's at home taking care of their kid? I mean, there's no doubt that she's doing something with him, but as far as you wanting to know how you could find out the truth and not blow things up, well, like I've often said, don't lead on that you actually are suspicious of her. Just lay low, let her believe that you completely buy into this whole nonsense story that she fed you. Don't bring it up, don't act mad, don't act like anything. Just let her continue to do what she's doing and periodically check her phone when she's not paying attention. That's pretty much the only thing that you can do to figure out what's going on. Or next time she goes on one of these movie trips alone, follow her, even though you probably can't do that because you have your kid with you, but try to find a way to actually follow her and see where she goes or what she's doing. And if it doesn't turn out that she's going where she said she was, well, right there, that's another lie that you caught her in, which almost guarantees that she's doing what you think she is. But more than anything, the phone is probably going to give you the details you really want to see. So again, just lay low, periodically check her phone, check her deleted messages, and that's all you can really do. But that's all I got to say about this. What do you all think about this situation? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. Do you think she cheated? Do you think she was being honest with her story? Thanks for sharing your opinion and clicking like for the algorithm, or for subscribing and sharing this video with someone you think might like it. And make sure you check out my main channel for more culture and relationship based topics. Till then, hope you all take care of yourselves, support and be good to good women. Peace.